So to begin glittering your very own pen, to personalize it for yourself, the first thing you have to do is prepare the pen. So I'm going to start by twisting off the end. Make sure that you put all of the pieces someplace safe because you will need them for reassembly. Take out the ink as well as the spring. I like to try to leave the spring attached if I can. Then this piece, there's actually a piece attached to it. Sometimes it will just fall out the other end, and sometimes I just take the ink cartridge and pop it in. It looks like this one's gonna come right out. This is important to make the pen functionable again later. And then there's the portion of the pen that you click. And now this is what you're left with. The next step is to remove this clip. Some people like to leave it attached. I think it's easier to work with if we just get rid of it altogether. So you're going to take a pair of pliers, go ahead and grab it and just give it a twist. And kind of work it here until it just pops right off. There we go. Now that portion you can throw away. And now, I'm not sure if you can see that there, but it does leave a little bit of a sharp point. And for that, you can take a sanding block, or I just like to take my Dremel here and sand that right off. Also has, you probably can't see this on camera, but a little tiny nub right there that the clip rested on, and that comes off very easily. There we go, and it's all smooth. Now, one more thing that some people like to do is they'll take their Dremel or their sandpaper and just give the whole pen just a quick sand. That's a personal preference. I like to do that. So I just stick it on my pencil here to help me hold it, and then just kind of give it a quick once over. So I'm going to now, I'm going to spray paint the pen to give it a nice even color. Sometimes the glitter, if it's transparent, some glitters are a little bit transparent, and so you'll be able to see the shift here even if it's really subtle. Some people also like to pop off this little part with an X-Acto knife. I find that's not very necessary. Once the epoxy and everything, the resin and everything is over it, you can't even tell it was ever there. So, okay, so I'm going to go give it a quick coat of spray paint. I'm going to use the Rust-Oleum 2X in Grape Gloss. It doesn't typically matter if it's flat, semi-flat, or or semi-gloss or gloss. So, okay, I will be right back when that is done. So the pen now has a coat of spray paint on it, a nice even coat, and it is dried. The next step is to apply the adhesive that's going to, well, adhere your glue to your pen. Lots of different things you can do. A lot of people use the epoxy resin. That works really, really well. I don't like to mix up a whole batch just for one little pen. And there are kind of faster ways to do it if you're doing one pen. For example, you can use Mod Podge, any kind of Mod Podge, and that dries really nicely. My favorite method for a single color pen, and this one's going to be all purple, is just a spray adhesive. There's lots and lots of different kinds of craft glues that come in a spray. This is just the one that I had laying around. They dry really, really fast, and so they're super convenient. I just spray this in my garage over a box so that the sticky stuff doesn't get everywhere. And so I'm going to do that, and I will be right back. So I'm back. The adhesive has been sprayed onto the pen. I've got my matching glitter here over a sheet of paper to collect the extra. And so now we just apply the glitter. Just tap it on in a nice, oops, even coat there. Make sure you get the top so that's not bare. And then because I'm just using a pencil as a holder, I just grab an extra one I have laying around and tap off that excess glitter. Okay, so there it is, all glittered. We're gonna give this some time to let that adhesive dry, and then we'll be ready to resin. Okay, so the glitter adhesive has had time to dry. So now we will add our epoxy resin. I've already mixed up part A and part B. There are lots of different brands, lots of different kinds. I've added a link so you can use the brand I do, but if anything else, you can just try what they have at Michael's. It's called Illuminate. This is Pro-Marine. So we're going to try to do a pretty thin coat because we want to keep our pen comfortable to write with. So let's go ahead and add just a little bit. Down the pen, and then with your gloved finger, you're going to just start smoothing it on. Okay, I just need just a little bit more. Right there. Make sure you're covering all of the glitter all the way to the end. Kind of make sure you go around that corner and then smooth off the edge. I kind of like to try to hook the epoxy around, smoothing side to side as well as up and down. go. Once you have the entire thing covered. Nice and smooth. Okay, and then here we have our turner, and you just pop it on there, turn it on, and let it go ahead and spin until that epoxy is cured. While that's happening, that's usually overnight, so that gives you time to create any decals that you would like to add, any personalization. And so once that's cured, we'll be back to add those in our final coat of resin. Okay, so we are back. Our first coat of epoxy, our top coat over our glitter, is all cured. Nothing's tacky. This actually went overnight, so it's good and cured. So now the next step is to apply our decal. So I already have it peeled up here on my transfer paper. So we're gonna lay that down. I like to lay it nice and straight. And then we're just going to go ahead and line up that decal. I kind of just hold the ends so I get it nice and straight and centered. And just press down. Use that decal or that transfer paper to rub it down, and then just press. Make sure you have a really good seal. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do before we put on that final coat of resin is we are going to seal it. Sometimes this metallic likes to repel that epoxy resin, and so just giving it a quick seal. I either use the Rust-Oleum triple thick or an epoxy quick coat. So we will do that and let that dry, and then we'll be right back for that last step. Okay, so here we are again. We have our decal applied, and then we have some kind of protective coat over top of that decal, some kind of clear coat. I've put it back on our pencil or dowel or whatever you're using, and we have our turner back to level the epoxy again. I've mixed up some epoxy resin of choice, UV, Aluminite, Promarine, whatever it is you want to use. And so again, we're just going to apply some of that epoxy right over top. Now, this is going to be our top coat, so we want to make sure that this is nice and smooth. But we also want to take care to not get too terribly thick, right? Because this needs to be a comfortable writing utensil. I like to start at the middle and work my way to the ends, taking care to not get it inside the pen casing, but still making sure to make that corner. Okay, and then to make sure that I get it nice over the decal, I just tap, tap, tap when we put it on the turner, it's going to level out on there if we do get too much. Okay, so checking one more time to make sure we're completely covered. And then on the turner to cure just one more time. And then once that sits overnight, then we'll be ready to reassemble our pen. Okay, so once you have your pen body that is all decaled, has the resin epoxy and is cured, then we take it off the dowel and it's time to put it all back together. Now you've saved the pieces from the first step. You start by putting the plastic piece into the clicker. It's just the reverse of what you did before. So you put those together and you drop them in. And as you can see, it comes out the other side. You have your ink that hopefully still has the spring still on. Pop that in. And twist the cap on. And there is your finished pen. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial.